Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining me here today. I am your host, Adrienne Bradley, and this is the Daycare Q&A Show. And thank you for joining me. It is February 28th, 2024, and this is episode 32 of the Daycare Q&A Show. So again, thanks for joining me here today. And if you are joining me for the first time, welcome. And if you are coming back, welcome back. I don't do this every week, but I think I should, in case we have some new viewers, talk about what this platform is about. And we're discussing issues that either ourselves or our fellow providers in the childcare industry face, running a childcare business, so questions that center around that, and issues that we have to deal with as being business owners of childcare businesses. So that's what this platform and this show is about. So I usually start off the show. Well, first of all, if you are joining me live, please send me some hearts and likes so I can see you. I just want to say hello and good morning. And if you're catching this on replay, please do the same. Give me a hi in the comments so I can come back and say hi to you. And if you are catching this on replay, excuse me, please do me a favor and think about subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any of our episodes. Let's see. Okay, so like I was about to say, I usually start the show with a little housekeeping. So my dogs are running in and out, and I just let you know that because sometimes I get even startled because I have one who barks, one not so much, but any noise at all, he barks. And I was just running short on time. Otherwise, I would have put him outside today. But if they do bark, that I want you to be aware of that. So. And then let's see. Let's see. Oh, and if you are joining me live, or even if you're catching this on replay, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments or in the chat, and I will try and get to it before the end of the show. If for some reason I don't, then I'll come back and I will answer it after the show. Let me just turn this printer off so it doesn't startle me either. All right. So yeah, you don't have to wait until the next show or anything. Just drop any question you might have in the comments. All right. And let me see. Okay. Oh, I almost forgot. I do this every week, but I almost forgot. I just want to say that any of the questions that we talk about or I address on the show, and we talk about, it's from my own opinion. Either something I've gone through that relates to it, or some fellow provider that I know have gone through that situation, and it is my opinion, my take on the situation. But I know that that doesn't always work for everyone. It is your business, and whatever works for you and your business is what you should do, okay? But we're just here, like I said, to give you a different perspective, a different outlook on an issue that either you're going through, or you may go through, or you want to avoid going through, all right? So, but if it doesn't work for you, completely understand. Just take what works and leave the rest. It's probably for someone else, okay? So I just wanted to say that. Don't want you to think that my way is the only way. And please chime in if you have a different opinion on an issue that you want to share. That's what, just like I said a moment ago, that's what we're all about here, okay? All right. And lastly, in case you do have to leave early, the show will be will live here on the page until I'm able to upload it to our YouTube channel, like I was talking about a few moments ago. So you can always catch the replay here, and then eventually it will be on our channel over on YouTube as soon as I can make the time to go and edit it and upload it over there. So yeah, and please do go over and check out our channel for some of our archives and go through some of the other episodes. Like I said, there's a lot of issues that we deal with as providers. And because we do address it on the show, you can go back and listen to the replay and glean some things from some of the past episodes and the issues that we've discussed here on the show. Okay? All right. So first, let's see. What's going on in the Thriving Childcare Universe? Okay, so first today, our episode is sponsored by the Provider Planner and Organizer. I almost went the wrong way again. That is our Stripe version behind me. And the Provider Planner and Organizer is our luxury planner just for childcare providers. And it's actually available in the hardback copy like the Stripe version you see behind me, but it's also available in a softbound book, as an ebook, and our newest is in a digital form. So in case you use an iPad and a Good Notes app, you can use the planner on your iPad. So there's a link in the chat where you can go over and check out all those different versions of the planner, and I hope that you will. It's still, I know we're at the end of February, but it's still the new year, and you can plan out the rest of your daycare year in your planner and get ahead of it and put down some goals for your business that you can actually reference and get accomplished this year. So go over and check out the planner. Like I said, there's a link in the chat for you to do that. All right? All right, so this morning, I was so excited. I was interviewed on a radio station this morning, and I put a link in the chat for you to go over and listen to it. Don't go now, but you can go over and listen to it after the show, hopefully. The radio show was KCAA. Well, it was on KCAA, and I was interviewed by Erin Brinker, and she's the host of Uplift San Bernardino, and she interviewed me about being the lead for the First Steps program for the Inland Empire Women's Business Center First Steps program. Did I just say that? I think I just said that. Anyway, so she talked to me about leading that program, and I talked about it, I believe, a couple of weeks ago. We are into the cohort now, and I am loving it. I'm loving sharing with both future providers and new providers and even some seasoned providers my experience, my adventures as a childcare provider in that cohort. So it was a great interview. I talked about some of the things that we face as childcare providers, such as wearing all these hats, and I even talked about how for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners who start their own business, that's typically the way it is. You wear all the hats, and I think it's a really good way to start a business, because then you know the ins and outs of just about everything that goes on in your business. So that later on, when you hire staff or you need to get help, you know exactly what that procedure is. You're not relying on someone else to tell you how it should go. And, you have the time to tweak it, make it better, your processes and everything. But in the interview, I brought up the fact that for childcare owners, specifically home childcare providers, we stay that way. We wear all the hats, and we continue to wear them. It's not usually the case that we have a whole team behind us. We may or may not get an assistant at some point in our journey, and I hope that you do. I hope that your enrollment is at a point where you will need assistance, and that you do get an assistant. But typically that's about it. We don't typically have a team that we can rely on to take some of the tasks off our plate. So I talked about that in the interview, and how in this program, and what I love to do just in general in my own business, is to help providers not only wear all the hats, but wear them well. So I hope you will go over and listen to the interview. Like I said, I put a link to it in the chat so you can go over and listen to it. It was aired today, so you'll be looking for the episode from February 28th, 2024. And yeah, go check it out. The cohort is closed now to any new enrollment for this particular cohort, but there will be a cohort after that, and I'll update you on when that is open to enrollment if you are interested. Okay? All right. So that was super exciting for me, and yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. All right. Lastly, last week on the blog, I wrote about something that we'll be getting into this in this episode today. But I wrote about how to keep your clients, how to retain them as a childcare business owner. And there's quite a few different things that I go over in the article that I don't know if I thought about them when I initially started my business, but over time I realized that it wasn't just getting the new clients, you needed to retain them. And some will leave, and some probably need to leave, and that's okay. But to have some strategies for keeping your clients happy and having them not only stay with your business, but also be ambassadors for future clients, for referrals for your business. So I hope you'll go over and read the article. I'll have a link to it in the chat as well. So you can go over and check that out, or you can listen to it. I think I mentioned last month in January that we added a new feature to the blog where you can actually listen to the audio. So I hope that you will take advantage of that and listen to this I think it's a pretty good strategy driven article. So anyway, go listen to it and come back and let me know what you thought. Okay? All right. So let's see. Oh, I said lastly, but not exactly. I am so excited to share with you some big news that we have coming. So we have a membership with Thriving Childcare, and we are doing a re-grand opening. So we're making some changes to the membership, some exciting changes, and I'll just tell you that, but I really want you to stay tuned to this Bat channel because there'll be a lot happening in the membership, and I can't even tell you how excited I am about this. This is going to be our major project for 2024, and it will be happening in March, so stay tuned. All right? Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Okay, so before we get started this morning, if you watch the show, you know that I typically do go to the planner, go to the provider planner, and kind of put you up on game on any observances or holidays that are coming up that we can either build a curriculum around or build a meal around sometimes, or an activity or project. And I just like to, that's what the planner has that's unique to our planner. It has all these obscure, they're actually national holidays, most of them. And my daughter always calls me on this. She's like, that can't be real. And I'm like, it is, look it up, it is. So really fun things that the planner will help you plan for and keep activities and things at your childcare fresh and exciting. So let's look and see what's coming up this week. So we are in the last week of February, actually the last 2 days of February. And actually, tomorrow's the 28th. And so if there's anyone who, the 28th of their birthday, I had a cousin when I was growing up, well, she's still my cousin. Her birthday was on the 28th of February. So, you know, is that leap year? Is that what we call it? Anyway, the 29th of February does not happen every year, right? We know that, right? And so I was discussing with a friend of mine earlier today. I was like, so what do? You have to celebrate either on the 28th or on the first day of March. But this year, your birthday, you actually have a birthday. So we were saying that, you know, if your birthday's on the 29th, you should have a birthday party every time that comes up in the calendar, because it only comes up every 4 years. So I thought it was an interesting conversation. But if that happens to be your birthday tomorrow, happy birthday. And because it's a special day, because it's actually on the calendar, you can actually celebrate on your birthday. You don't have to celebrate the day before or the day after. But that's tomorrow. Excuse me. And then on March 2nd, which I'm going to look at the calendar here in my sidebar, is actually Saturday. It is Dr. Seuss Day. So I don't know if you decide you want to do something fun for Dr. Seuss Day. Maybe you do it on Friday, or maybe you wait till Monday or something like that. I would probably do it on Friday. So you have a couple days to think of something to do for Dr. Seuss Day. Maybe that's a day where you read several of the Dr. Seuss books. Maybe you create a Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat hat project. I'm sure that there's Dr. Seuss inspired foods and snacks that you can create. I would really have fun with this one. Maybe you have a Dr. Seuss hat yourself. Maybe you wear that, and it makes the kids laugh and have a good time looking at you wearing this hat. If you watch a video, that's on Friday. Maybe you have a video day and you happen to catch a Dr. Seuss animated cartoon. Those were some of my favorites when Dr. Seuss movies or cartoons would come on. And I know I'm not tone deaf. I know that there was some controversy, or still might be some controversy around Dr. Seuss, but the stories are timeless. And I think that we can separate some issues from the joy that the story and the lessons that the stories bring. So if you do decide you want to celebrate Dr. Seuss Day, that is on March 2nd on Saturday. But again, I would probably do something. If I was going to celebrate, I'd probably do it on Friday. I would probably do it this Friday. Okay. And then the second Sunday in March happens to be daylight savings time. And years ago, I looked up how to prepare children for daylight savings time, and it actually said that you should do that way ahead of time. So, like right now, I think we've got a couple of weeks before the second Sunday. Let me look. See, there goes my dog. The first Sunday would be this Sunday, so the second Sunday would be the 10th. So we have a couple weeks. Maybe help the parents out by letting them know that the time change is coming. You know, if that happens in your area. I know in some states, actually one state, I'm not sure if there's another state, where they don't observe the time change. So if it doesn't apply, then it doesn't apply. But if it applies in your state, maybe put the parents up on game that daylight savings time is coming, and they should start maybe adjusting their, kind of inching toward adjusting their child's nap times and bed times at night. And I thought I had done an article. I'll have to look and see. If I don't have an article on it, I'll try and find the article that I read about how to help the kids adjust, so that it's not a huge adjustment when that time change happens. So I'll try and find that, and I'll come back and I'll update the notes and drop that link for you. But daylight savings time is coming. I personally am happy about it because I hate when it gets dark so early. I mean, I don't want to leave the house. It just you know what I mean? It's a different mood that you have when it's pitch black and it's just 6 o'clock. But my husband pointed out that, it starts to naturally change. It starts to get darker later during this time of the year, naturally or organically. And it's true. I noticed that. Because when I would wake up, it would be dark, and now it isn't. So, and I think that, I live here in California, and I think that there was an initiative, or maybe it was a federal initiative. Come in the comments and let me know. if you know, and I'm going to pull up, well, let me do this. I'm going to pull up the show on my phone because sometimes I can't see the comments, and that seems to be what's happening today. But what was I saying? I totally forgot. I don't even know. But yeah, if I can find that article, I don't think that's what I was saying. I was saying something else. I don't know. I'll think about it. Anyway, daylight savings time is coming, and help out your families, help out the kids by letting them know that early. Hi, Deborah Hurley. Hi, Jane Paul. See, I couldn't see the comments here on the dashboard, and I had been able to see them. Let me refresh. Maybe it's an Adrian thing. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me here today, and I still can't see them over here. Okay, that's great. Hopefully they come back. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me, and let's get into some of these issues today. So let's see. I have been asking, and I will turn this down so it doesn't distract me because I can hear my voice. I usually ask a question of you, and this week I put in the group, I asked the question, what is something that you wish you had known before you started your childcare business that you know now? So if you could go back in time and whisper in your ear something that you wouldn't have expected about your childcare business, what would that be? What do you think would be so important to know about running the childcare that you didn't know before you started, but you know now, and you wish you would have known back then? Leave it in the chat, Deborah and Jane, if you will, if you could think of something that you wish you had known before you started. Honestly, when I put it in the on the page and in the group this week, I was surprised by some of the answers because one provider said she didn't anticipate and wish she had known that starting a childcare business was going to affect her children in a way that they don't want to have children, which I thought was so unexpected. And I guess they feel that way as well. But yeah, their children have decided they don't want to have children. And you have to wonder if it was a direct effect of having so many children in their home and in their space, or if the responsibility of having children is what's influencing them to not want to have children now. I will say, I hope my daughter doesn't kill me. I have grandchildren. I have 4 grandchildren, beautiful grandchildren, and so both of my sons have 2 children each, but my daughter doesn't have any children, and I wonder if I'll have to ask her. She probably's not going to appreciate me saying this here, but I'll have to ask her. I'm going to see her next week. I'll have to ask her if having the childcare in her home, because she was the only one who was still at home when I started my business. I didn't start my business in particular to stay home with my children. My children were already, 2 of them were about to graduate from high school, and 1 was entering middle school, I think. But so the boys didn't really, have to deal with the kids being at home, and my daughter would be the only one who actually saw the whole inner workings of the childcare being in her home, even though she was in and out because she was in school. But I'll have to ask her next week when we have a moment. I hope I remember to ask her if, seeing all of the things has influenced her to think twice about having children, or to wait, or something like that. But I thought that was really interesting, that answer on the page and in the group this week. But let's see. Deborah Hurley says, taking vacations paid because for a few years I did not, and my licensor said I should do it. Absolutely. I mean, I know because I did that same thing too, Deborah. I think a lot of us, we think, oh, we're going to lose our clients, so I can't close, or I can't take a paid vacation. At least I'll have to either credit them for the childcare being closed, or not charge them. I think a lot of us think that coming in. But, over time, we either have somebody tell us, yeah, no, you don't have to do that. And I will say, I was talking to someone, I was talking on the radio show today, saying that, sometimes it takes a while for us to get the confidence to do things in our business. Once again, we are typically solopreneurs, meaning we're the only one running our business, and we don't have a team. And even if we do, it's our assistant. So we don't necessarily have the sounding boards that we might need to get the confidence that we need. So it's one of the reasons why I'm so glad to do these different trainings, and have and talk on the blog and share some of the things I've gone through, because it was a progression. It was a learning experience the entire time running my childcare business. But absolutely, that was one of my main issues, Deborah, was I just didn't take off a vacation. I didn't have a vacation for many years. And that was self-imposed, because I had to realize either somebody said it to me, or I realized, the parents get paid vacations. I even had clients that would take a vacation every 3 months. And I was burnt out. You can imagine, with all the hours that we work, you know what I'm talking about. I was tired. I needed the vacation. And they needed me to have a vacation to get, to recharge and to reinvigorate myself and to relax and all the things. And I just didn't. So thank you for bringing that up, Deborah. That was a good one. And she said also paying for the spot, not time in care, because parents will be like, my kid isn't here on Friday. Do I need a discount for that day? Yep. I think that one I picked up on pretty early on. I think somebody did explain it to me, though, because it sounds logical, right? Initially you go, well, yeah, they weren't here. But no. What I realized was contractually, we have agreed, both the parent or my client and I, that you were going to attend on these days. And quite frankly, that was the reason why I delineated between part-time and full-time. Okay, and I would tell parents that at the tour, at the orientation. I called it orientation. I would tell them what that meant. You know what I'm saying? That, how did it go? Anything under 3 days and under was part-time, and anything over 3 days was full-time. So that way, just because they didn't show up on one day the week. Now, this is for my program, right? Again, remember what I said in the beginning. Everybody's program is different, and how you set up your enrollment statuses will be up to you. But for my program, 3 days and under was part-time, 3 days and over was full-time. So whether or not you took advantage of all week, if you were full-time, didn't matter. This is what we agreed to in the contract, okay? And because you can imagine, just like we were just talking about vacations, holidays, I don't, tell me if you run into this, Deborah. I would have clients who would say, when a holiday popped up, oh, well, and this is when they were part-time. Yeah, this is when they were part-time. Well, they didn't come on Monday. Can they come on Tuesday? And it took me a while to figure out how to manage that. By the way, for me, I realized I needed to put space and time in between me answering them. Okay, a lot of times we get in those conversations and we feel that we need to answer right away. For me, I realized that was not the best thing, because I felt compelled to comply with whatever they were asking, and then regret it later. So I taught myself, and I really had to do this. I had to teach myself to say, you know what? Let me get back to you on that. I'll let you know tomorrow, or I'll let you know, whatever, to give myself some time to think about what they were requesting and what either my own policy was or what I wanted to do when it came to that request. And that's fair. That's fair. But anyway, they would ask me, oh, yeah. They weren't here on Monday, and so can they come on Tuesday? Or they won't be here on Monday because of the holiday. Can they come on Tuesday? And I had to realize, most of the holidays are on Monday. So they're going to do this each and every time there's a holiday on Monday. And so what I said was, well, actually, no. And I had a policy in the handbook to say that holidays were for us as well. They're considered paid holidays in my business. And so what that means is it's not a day that we're going to get caught up on next during the week. Okay. So for me, it was no. There were some occasions where I would make an exception. Let's say there was a doctor's appointment that they had to go to on Monday, and that was their day of attendance. But that was case by case. But holidays, guys, typically are on Monday. All right. So either we need to address that when we enroll, and maybe you want to choose another day that we can agree on or whatever. But yeah, no. But I had to learn that. Deborah said, yeah, I got that too. Yeah, exactly. You deserve holidays off too. And that's what I would explain to the parents, that holidays were another day for me to recoup, relax, and recharge for the childcare. So just like they had holidays, which, by the way, excuse me, I realized later too that the parents typically had those days, but they would bring the child. They would be home, and that's fine, but also realizing for myself, and to be able to what do you call it, advocate for myself and say, no, I need that holiday too. And by the way, that was in the contract, that was in the parent handbook. I would lay it out for them, the different holidays that we observed that the childcare was going to be closed. So I hope you get a lot out of that. But yeah, you're right. That was an issue that over time I made some changes. And that's another thing. If you start off one way, you don't have to, just like I was saying in the beginning, it is your business and you can make these changes. I was talking to some women in the group last week, and I was saying, the thing about it is sometimes it takes a while for you to get the confidence to make those changes. But think of it this way. When they go to school, when the children go to school, when they leave your care and go into the school system, the schools have all those federal holidays, right? The parents are going to have to figure out what's going to happen on those holidays when it comes to their children. Why not now? Okay? Now, if you choose not to do that, or if you choose to just take certain holidays, that is up to you. Again, it's your business. But the parents will figure it out. They will figure it out when they get to school. They'll also figure out how to pick them up before 7 o'clock. For those of us who started off doing 7 to 7. They'll figure out what to do when they need to pick their children up at 3 o'clock. And I know it's difficult for parents. I was a parent. I just told you that. I had 3 children, and now I have 4 grandchildren. And sometimes I'm called into service with my grandchildren. But that's what we have to do as a family, right? They will figure it out. Deborah said, yeah, you do deserve, we deserve holidays off too. She also says, my contract got longer every year as I ran into issues. Exactly. I know. I told somebody, I don't know who I was telling, I said, you know what? The changes in my contract directly affected, were the effect of the issues that I was having to face with different clients, because either I wasn't clear, or I wasn't clear on it myself. Either I wasn't clear to them what the policy was, and the verbiage in the contract or in the handbook wasn't clear, or I felt like maybe I could be clearer, or I wasn't clear. I didn't think about this particular occurrence, like just saying that the holidays are on Mondays. It didn't occur to me to think that out in the beginning, but later on I did. So you're right. I mean, I had so many changes and iterations to my contract. I told you before how I changed from tuition being due on Monday. I think you said the same, that instead of it being due on Monday for the week, it was due the previous Friday. So like this Friday, they would pay tuition for next week. And I had much better success with receiving the tuition on time that way. So don't be afraid to make changes, especially when what you're doing isn't working. We don't have to stick with plan A. We can come up with a plan B or make some tweaks and changes. And you know what? When you start a business, when anyone starts a business, they don't know everything. And you don't know what you're going to face. And I've said, even with all of us here, our businesses are different. My colleagues had different experiences than I did. And you have to, make the adjustments for your business, for it to work for you and for it to work for your clients. So not every business is going to mirror someone else's business. You might start off that way, think that, this is good enough, and you'll find that it would be better if you made some changes in your business to help you run the business, to help your clients, to help the children, all of that. So yeah, so if you watch this on replay and you have an issue that you wish you had known before you started, please come in the comments and leave that. We would love to see that. Hi, Denitra. Denitra Scott's joined us too. Thanks for joining us, Denitra. We were just talking about issues that we wish we had known before we started our childcare business, and Deborah and I were talking about vacations and holidays and being maybe too accommodating to our clients as opposed to ourselves. And again, I get it, and there's a lot of providers who when I'll ask on the page, are you off like on President's Day or something, and they'll say no. And I remember putting up the question earlier this month to say, how many days off do you have during the year? Holidays, vacation, whatever. I think it was vacation I asked. And they were like, somebody said 0. And again, it's up to you. I had to go through that learning process for myself, and maybe they have the stamina to never be off, but that was definitely not me. And it didn't serve my clients any good either, with me being tired and worn out. So yeah. So Denitra, if you can think of something that you wish you had known, please put it in the comments and I'll come back to it. So today I want to talk about something that I saw in one of the groups. I'm not going to say which group, and I'm not going to give it word for word, and I'm not going to I don't think I need to for us to have this conversation. But a couple of weeks ago, Denitra Scott and I were on the show talking live about universal pre-K and the rollout of it, the effects that that are already showing up across the country for childcare programs, specifically home childcare programs. And if you didn't watch that episode, please go back and watch that episode or listen to that episode, because for a lot of us, it may not have affected our businesses yet. But then again, too, I'm hearing from more and more providers, and I'm hearing more and more providers say that it has affected their business, and it's affecting their ability to get new clients, to get new families in their enrollment because of. And so anyway, I think it was this week or last week, there was an ad, and it was, 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 And I believe, Denitra, please chime in if you remember more particulars about this ad that was, I think it was a Facebook ad, and it was more of a corporate alternative to family childcare. Okay, like I said, chime in if I'm wrong. But anyway, it was offering, I guess, a contractless situation or option or status for the parents when it came to childcare, and some of the providers were really expressing their dislike for this type of thing, and for the competition that this was going to bring to their business. And that's what I want to talk about today. If you see the ad and you find out that I was off about the particulars, I don't think it matters, because what I want to talk today about is competition and marketing and how to make and help your business be more sustainable by having a certain mindset when it comes to competition. Okay? So not when I started my business, because I wasn't at my current residence when I started my childcare. I was at another residence. But when I moved here, I found out pretty quickly that there were about 13 childcare within 3 to 5 blocks of my business, of my home. And I mean, that can be intimidating, sure. But if you have the mindset that, well, I still need to and want to run my business, then you have to figure out, okay, what am I going to do to ensure that my business still can thrive and grow in that highly competitive environment? And I will tell you, it's not that I made a conscious decision to sit down and thoroughly think that through. I just realized, okay, I've got to show up and be my best. I got to pull out all the stops and make my program shine. No shade on any of those other programs. As a matter of fact, a couple of those competitors were friends of mine, colleagues. And we have a good relationship. Even to this day, we still do. But they needed their business to thrive, and my business needed to thrive. Now, here in California, it is different than all around the country. So when I'm talking about my business, understand it's from the angle of being a business that's located in California. I realized that all of those businesses could not take all of the children in my community, even if they wanted to. They are not allowed to. Their license does not provide them to. They probably don't have the space or the desire to either, no matter what they think. We are licensed for a certain number of children, and those are the ones that we can accommodate in our program. Everybody knows that, right? So if that being the case, then I still had a competitive stake, I guess, in being able to get families to be attracted to my program over the other programs. As a matter of fact, by that stage in my childcare journey, I was confident in what my program had to offer. And this is the reason why when I'm talking to other providers, especially newer providers, I'm asking them to spend some time getting to know the benefits and the features of their program, not childcare as a whole, not someone else's program, their program. Because when you're marketing and when you're talking to prospective clients and all of that, you need to be able to highlight those things. Because as Denitra Scott will say, parents want options. I said that in the interview this morning. More than us looking like the program down the street, what if your business and your program highlighted something that they don't offer down the street? You know what I mean? Now you have to be able to articulate that. You have to be able to explain, not explain yourself, but explain to prospective clients why that's a good thing. You know what I mean? So there's a preschool that a lot of my former clients, once they aged up, they would enroll in this preschool. And this preschool is in the community and not far. And they have a whole like zoo, and so different animals in their little zoo, and they also have a farm. And so I am certain, I haven't gone over to that school, I haven't gone through the tour or anything, but I can tell you right here and now that I'm sure that they highlight that as a feature, that the children are learning. They don't realize they're learning husbandry. They don't realize that they're learning agricultural things, but they are. And the parents, probably the ones that enroll there, they can appreciate that, and they want that for their children, or that they figure this is an ideal condition for, or ideal environment that they want their children to be in. So it should be the same for our programs, right? So when we're faced with, as we're faced with universal pre-K, which I've said, and I will continue to say, we're going to be talking more and more about that on the show here, to bring more awareness to how it could affect your business, and strategies to help you overcome whatever obstacles that brings to you running your business. On the blog, I wrote, I think it was 2 weeks ago, an article about that. So if you haven't read that, go over and check that out. But we need to be more aware of how it may or may not affect our business, and strategize for that, so that your business isn't gobbled up, and so that you don't, feel like you have no choice but to close your business. So understanding that, just like I was saying, the environment around me was super competitive at one point. Now, over the years, that changed. A lot of those childcares didn't exist anymore. I was still standing, right? And part of that was, I won't say that I ignored them. It's not that, but I didn't focus on the fact that they existed over there. Because if the client resonated with that program more than mine, then they should be over there, because they wouldn't be happy in my program. I know a lot of providers tend to feel like we want everyone. We want anyone to enroll in our program. And I'll tell you, after so many years in the business, you do not. You do not want those clients that would not be happy with your program. You want your ideal client. And that's why spending some time understanding who your ideal client is. And I went through this exercise with a client of mine who was starting her business. She was early on in her business. And I was talking to her about who her ideal client is. And I knew that if somebody had asked me that in the early stages, I would have been like, I don't know, a parent with a child of a certain age. All right? That was all I could come up with. But actually, it's not that hard to get more granular with who your ideal client is. Think about the community that you are servicing. So what community do you live in, and what are the surrounding communities? Now, I had some clients that lived quite a distance away from my childcare. For the most part, it was because they worked in close proximity to the childcare, and so they wanted a childcare option that was close to their job. But sometimes they were referred to me, and this is where they wanted their child. So they would make the commute, both in the morning and the evening, and that was something that they decided to do. But I would say over the years, realizing that if somebody was making too long of a commute could be an issue, because were they going to be able to pick up on time? What happened if the child got ill? Would they be able to pick up? all of those kind of things. So understanding the community that you're serving, that can be part of your ideal client identity. Of course, like I said a few moments ago, understanding the ages that you serve, so you look at your license for that, but also look at your own preference. Who do you feel like, what age group do you feel like you would most like to work with? For me, I decided that the school age children were just not my jam. It just wasn't. I preferred working with infants and toddlers. That can be different for all of our businesses, but understanding who that is going to be reflective in how I market my business, right? So in the ads, I'm going to talk about the age. I'm going to talk the age of the child that we service. I think I brought up on the program before that I had a pre-enrollment program. So I'm going to talk about that and what that involves and who that can benefit. I'm going to talk about the, okay, so part of the ideal client is people who need childcare between this time and this time, right? Because somebody who needs it outside of my operating hours would not be an ideal client, because I'm outside of my license most likely, or outside of the time that I want to be running the childcare. So there's a lot of things that we can do to help our business and help us target the clients that are the ideal clients for our business. But the other thing too is, like I just alluded to a little while ago, parents want options. So just because UPK is coming through and they're offering this free option, there will be a lot of people who it's not really, I would say it's not really an option for them because they're so stretched. Everything costs more, right? Gas, groceries. I mean, I saw yesterday, I don't know if you guys, tell me if you saw this. I was watching the news and they were saying that Wendy's is going to be adopting, or they're piloting, beta testing, dynamic pricing. And if you don't know what that is, that means that depending on the time of day that you go to Denny's, the prices would change. And I was like, wow. I mean, they, and in their defense, they say, well, the ride shares do that. They look at the times and they adjust their pricing because of that. I'm gonna scroll up and make sure I'm not missing any comments. And the airlines do it. You know, there's a lot of different industries that have dynamic pricing like that. But I'm thinking, dang, but your food? I mean, when I was a young mother, I mean, to take the kids to McDonald's, I had to know strategically how many items to buy of this and how many, you know, to fit in my budget. How many items to buy of this and how many, you know, how many fries can we, you know. And so if you're changing prices on me, depending on the time of day, I mean, because I'm probably going to go around dinner time, that is really going, I can't budget for it because I don't know what the pricing is going to be. So I'm like, we're not going to Wendy's because I don't know how much it'll cost at this time of day because it can change. So anyway, getting back, things cost more. So a lot of families, parents will be happy to see this UPK option. But then there will be other families that do not want that particular environment for their child. They want something different. And our businesses can be that something different, right? And so just thinking that we're all out of the game because of UPK, I think is an overstating. It will affect us. And that kind of depends on the demographic too, right? Like I said, I'm in California. I'm in a city environment. I'm not in a rural environment. It could be different, and I'm sure that it is for a childcare that's servicing a community in a rural environment. But let's see what you have to say. Deborah says, yeah, the Wendy's thing is weird. I know. Ooh, I don't think it's going to work. I think they're going to get backlash from that. I think they're going to make a lot of people go to their competitors because of that. And matter of fact, talking about marketing, their competitors, like, what would that be? McDonald's, what is it? Carl's Jr. and what's the other one? I can't think of the other one. Jack in the Box. Okay. All of them should realize, hey, by not adopting that, we can lean on that to say, hey, no matter what time of day you come to McDonald's, you're going to pay the same. I would do that if I was them. Remember when Walmart had the ads where they would show the prices roll back, right? I mean, they weren't rolling forward, they were rolling back, right? That was a big draw for people. It's like, oh, you know what? They're making it more affordable for us. And if any of those competitors from Wendy's realizes that, I'm sure they have teams. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's thinking this. I'm sure they have teams on this saying, hey, we can lean into that and say, hey, you could save money because you always are going to know you can budget for everything. You can budget for the prices that you're going to spend at our business as opposed to Wendy's. So we're going to be talking about this more and more, and I know I spent the majority of the show on that issue today because I think it is going to be so important. She said, Deborah said, yeah, I used to manage Walmart, so yeah, roadworks were big, right? Yeah, because it makes people feel like, I can only speak for myself, but I know there's a lot of people like me. I love a deal. I will shop for a deal. My daughter can tell you I used to go to Joann's Fabrics like every weekend. And if I happen to forget my coupons, this is before they had the apps and the coupons on the apps, I would put the stuff down and go home and get my coupon. I'm one of those people. So there will be people who just want a deal, or maybe that's all they can afford. Maybe their budgets were stretched being able to afford childcare. Maybe they have, if you go and listen to the radio show that I was on this morning, the host was saying that she was a child care provider at one point. And the reason why she got into the field was because she had 2 infants. And they couldn't afford child care for 2 infants. And as my good friend would say, yeah, most of us don't. That's not what we're considering when we're starting a family, okay? We're not considering all the things. And even though childcare is a big thing, and some of us will say, well, they should have thought about that, the fact is a lot of us don't. And when you get into that situation, I think a lot of us, this is why we did get into this field, is because we wanted to be home with our children, or we couldn't afford to pay for childcare with our young children. And I know for a cousin of mine, she was a childcare provider. And I remember her telling me, this is long before I started my business, long before. And I remember her saying that it didn't make any sense for her to go to work because it was going to be a wash. She would give her whole paycheck to childcare, so she might as well stay home. It was going to be the same. And I know that's not what a lot of us want to hear, but the fact is that that's a reality for a lot of families, okay? And just like the competitors for Wendy's need to figure out their angle on what Wendy's is doing and how it can position their businesses, this is what we need to do for our businesses at this time, okay? I understand the rants, I understand the outrage, I understand the upset, but at the end of the day, we need to figure out strategies, answers, solutions, so that our businesses do not die, do not fail. So give me an amen if you think what I'm saying is right. But that's what I'm hoping to start conversations with you. And before I end today, I just want to say that I'm going to be changing up some of the format of this show sometimes to have more conversations with providers and talk about the issues that they're facing, because a lot of us face, like the whole reason for the show is a lot of us face the same issues. And I think having a conversation where you can interact with me and with our community is much needed, especially now, because a lot of us just may not conceive of certain things. Like I told you, a lot of the things we talked about early on in the show today, it took me a long time to figure that out. And I thought I was a pretty smart person. I thought I was coming from corporate America and running a business would be a piece of cake for me. It wasn't. It wasn't. It took me a while to figure out some things. And some of those things were unique to my business, so that's fair. But some of those things were because I didn't have the foundational knowledge of running a business. So that's going to be more and more what we talk about and the things that we do here on the show. And Deborah, I already told you I'm coming for you. I hope that you will be one of the first guests. Denitra has already been on. And I hope that we can start these community conversations. So look out for your invite. And if anyone else is interested in being on the show and talking about what is going on in their business, please put your name in the comments. Say, I want to be on the show, something, and I will reach out to you because, that's what I see more of a need for our community right now, to help each other. Our businesses are still needed. Remember, during the pandemic, we were essential, right? We're still essential, okay? But we're in a challenging time, and it is affecting our businesses, Deborah. It is. And she says she wants to talk about the Department of Social Services and private pay. I would love. Okay, so my job is to go and set some dates for these conversations and figure out the whole streaming thing for here and on Zoom, because they will be on Zoom. And so, Deborah, you already know you're getting an invite. Anybody else, please put your name in the comments. Reach out to me in the DMs if you're more comfortable doing that, and say, I want to be on the show, because there are so many things that we need to talk about here and now to help our businesses and to help our community as a whole. Because if you thrive, we thrive, right? We thrive together, right? Okay. So before I leave you today, let's see, is there anything else? Oh, by the way, like I said earlier, if you have any questions that you want to discuss on the show, or you want me to address, then you can go to thrivingchildcare.com/what's your question. You don't have to wait for next week's show. You can leave your question there. That way, if you're not able to join us on live, I can answer the show, and you can watch the replay, and you can still get your question answered or addressed here on the show. And while I'm on that topic, next week I do have a conflict at the same time of the show, so we will be running an encore of a previous show, but the following week I'll be back live again here. And that might be the week that we start with our community conversations, because it'll be the first episode in March, and I really want to start doing that. And please, just like Deborah, even if you don't want to be on the show, if you want certain issues talked about, please put that in. Deborah said, I got it. Good. I want to let you know. Please put that in the comments or in the chat so we can start having these conversations and not feel that we don't have any power, but instead feel empowered. Okay? So, before I go, I want to remind you again to go over and check out the interview that I did on the radio show this morning. The link is in the comments. Please come back and let me know what you thought. I was so excited about doing that interview, so I hope that you will go over and listen. Check out the blog post for this week or last week, where I was talking about retaining clients. And there's a link to that blog post in the chat as well. And sorry about going a few minutes long here today, but I think it was a good conversation. And thank you for joining me. I'll stop talking. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Adrienne Bradley, for the Daycare Q&A Show. And until, not next week, the week after, when I see you again, keep thriving. Thanks for joining me. Bye.